I'm going to invite up Luna Lloyd from Lambda Legal to talk a little bit about both themselves, the work that they've been doing. I've been enjoying getting to work with Luna and their time at Lambda Legal through their role and their fellowship. So please feel free to introduce yourself, tell us about your work and about you. And thanks for being here, Luna.
Hey everybody. My name is Luna Isaiah Floyd. I'm an Equal Justice Works Fellow at Lambda Legal's Youth and Out of Home Care Project. Legal Fellow just means that I am a baby lawyer, a lawyer very early in my legal career. But I'm also a genderqueer lesbian who uses they or he pronouns. I live just outside of New York City, but I grew up in the Deep South. And this Pride Month, I'm trying to get more comfortable with uncertainty. I'm still working out exactly how to define myself in terms of name, gender, and transition. But for now, please feel free to call me Luna, Isaiah, or any combination thereof. But I wanted to come on and talk today a little bit about our recent loss in the Supreme Court and what it means to model resilience. So as you almost certainly know, last Wednesday we lost LW versus Skirmetti. Tennessee's ban on gender affirming care can continue, and regulations on gender affirming care for minors are allowed to go forward across the country. Instead of recognizing that these bans are based on transphobia, the Supreme Court held that Tennessee was imposing age restrictions. Um, we were pretty sure going in that we wouldn't get everything we wanted out of the case's result, but somehow it still caught me off guard. I don't think I'm ever going to get used to the casual cruelty that adults and people in power are sending towards trans kids these days. So I want to affirm that things can feel terrible right now for trans people and the people who love us. For younger trans people, it can feel like right now the world is more hostile than it's ever been. Um, y'all might know that 10 years ago today, on June 26, 2015, the Supreme Court ruled that marriage equality was the law of the land. Um, I was 17 and about to go off to college. I grew up in the Deep South in Alabama and North Florida, and I was convinced that I would only feel safe and in community when I moved far away. But on that day in June of 2015, I thought maybe the world would be better for the queer community I was leaving behind in the South. But 10 years later, it is hard to keep that sense of optimism. When trans and non-binary kids are denied the health care they desperately need, when the federal government is openly hostile to queer folks, when kids don't see a path forward, it's hard to feel like things have gotten better. So for people on the younger side, I encourage you to take a larger scale view. Something that's really helped me as I feel despair coming on is talking to older queer and trans people, especially advocates who have and hear the stories that they have to tell you. We may be facing hostility now, but there are absolutely members of our community who have survived and thrived, even when our community was smaller and even less accepted. I'm not saying that we can't mourn today's losses, just that there's hope in those stories when we take a longer view of history and see how far we have come. And for the queer adults in the room, especially those who have a trans child in your lives, we have a huge role to play right now. My friend Andy Eisenson at the Chosen Family Law Center wrote a piece for Scarletine this week targeted towards trans kids that emphasizes our adults' responsibility to help kids not fall into that despair. Andy wrote kind of three truths that really resonated with me. Number one, there are trans people. Number two, there are boring assholes who try to make there not be trans people anymore. And three, those boring assholes fail. And I think that that is a message that we need to give to all queer kids, young adults, and me every day. Um, but I think all of us have a responsibility to make sure that kids know that their future is waiting for them, that there have always been and will always be trans people. Just because the Supreme Court made an immoral and cowardly decision, this is not the end of the road. All of us have a responsibility to lift up trans kids feeling this despair and say, I see you. It won't fix the cruel limitations our government has put forward, but it will help a young person imagine their future a bit more clearly. Please share your stories of love and resilience and community. I know how much those stories would have meant to me as a young person growing up in the Deep South who had no idea what being queer meant and just knew they felt wrong and different and like an affront to God. I remember watching cheesy It Gets Better videos as a teenager and getting really frustrated because I didn't know what the how looked like. How does it get better? And now as an adult, I have a responsibility to show that how to people coming up after me. There's no community in isolation, and those who wish us harm can't win when we care fully for each other. I'm really grateful to everyone here today. Thank you for being here and caring about queer and trans kids. And thank you for taking on that responsibility to clear a path for their beautiful and unstoppable futures.
Thank you so much, Luna. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate the work you're doing, and grateful to get to work with you in this time. I think for me, it's been really cool to know that like as much as I've wanted to create the future that little Elliot would have wanted, that I also get to do it alongside you and everyone else, where we're sort of carving out the future that we want to see. So thanks for being willing to do all that. And also, your cats are adorable, and I love your content when you post about them. So
Thank you. I'm surprised she hasn't made an appearance.
there's time. All right. Well, thanks, Luna.